another episode of the Drawing Animal Podcast with Wesley Bear. I am your host, Wesley Bear, and on today's episode we are going to India to talk about the sloth bear. The sloth bear is a medium-sized-ish bear ranging from about 6 feet in length, while about 3 feet standing on its hind legs, and a weight of somewhere in between 200 and 300 pounds. So definitely still a big animal, but nowhere near the almost 1,000-pound polar bears and grizzlies that are in North America. The interesting thing about the sloth bear is quite a bit. The sloth bear is fairly unique. One, it is distinctive in its shaggy hair with a crest along its neck that is usually in the shape of an O or a Y or U. Bear is known to eat a number of things. Like nearly all bears, it is omnivorous, so it will eat carrion, eggs, fruit, flowers, but unlike its cousins, it also has a special interest in termites. In fact, the interest in termites is so high that it consumes pretty much the majority of its diet. In fact, because termites are small, crunchy little insects, there's not much need to have the big teeth necessary to bite on huge, giant food like deer or monkeys or such. Thus, sloth bears do not have their two huge, massive incisors in the front. Those would just get in the way. Instead, it basically has a long muzzle that allows it to act like a vacuum cleaner and just suck up insects and termites with extreme force. They will uncover usually an insect nest or a termite mound underneath the soil, and they will begin sucking away with their lips basically just acting as a giant suction cup. And actually, this noise of sucking up termites underneath the ground can be actually heard from a mile away. While I mentioned the sloth bear does not have incisors, they do have canines. So those are mainly, though, used for defense, usually against leopards, tigers, and other dangerous animals that might want to harm it. The other important thing to note is that sloth bears have an unusually long relationship and an unusual relationship with their cubs. Usually it takes about 7 months for a full pregnancy to develop, after which a sloth bear will give birth to usually 1 to 2 cubs that are usually 1 pound each. Those cubs will continue to develop. It will take about 9 weeks for those cubs until they venture out of their nest or cave, usually in a rock or under a tree, hollow tree. And then they will travel with mom by actually holding on to her back. So that's the purpose, or one of the big purposes of shaggy hair, is that the cubs can grab onto that shaggy hair and she will carry them through the jungles or dry forests or even tall grasslands throughout India, and also in Nepal, and also on that big island south of India, which is known as Sri Lanka. That will continue on for about 9 months until the kids are getting too big. But sloth bear cubs will actually stay with their mothers until they're about 2 to 3 years old, and by that time she is ready to mate and have more kids. So it's definitely a long process raising sloth bears, much longer than usually is for at least most bears. The other thing to note about sloth bears is that they are, of course, endangered. This is not unusual among bears, but sloth bears are particularly prey to a number of different things, including habitat destruction, killing by poachers due to their ferociousness. Sloth bears are usually docile creatures, but because of their common occurrence with man, they are actually one of the few bears that actually kill quite a few people, just because of the number of run-ins and violent situations that bears and humans come across in India. There's also a habit of bear cubs being kidnapped and being used as animals to perform in circus or dances. A lot of these dances and circus acts are actually quite cruel. They're not like American circuses that were usually fairly okay with animals. These are actually downright cruel living conditions. There's been much to outlaw the practice, and also just because of the nature of more awareness of the practice and kind of the modern times we're living in about animal cruelty, thankfully those things have diminished. There's another practice that involves using bears that I won't go into only because kids might be listening, but I may talk about that in a separate little video either later today or tomorrow. And I'll be talking about that so you can get involved in this conservation effort to help sloth bears in these conditions. So I will bring that up later, but there's the sloth bear. Yeah, pretty amazing creature, very unlike its bear brothers, especially in its insect diet, but definitely an unusual bear. They're actually fairly common in zoos nowadays. They used to be not as common, but they're getting more common as years progress, and especially because they're such an endangered bear. So I would suggest for your local zoo that you just look up and see if you have sloth bears in your area. So thanks for listening. Have fun with nature and have fun drawing. Thanks for listening and have a great day.